Well, if you were watching yesterday, you probably saw the interview we did with Harrison Ford, or that we showed with Harrison Ford, who's the star of Presumed Innocent. But it's also interesting, if you can get these interviews, to have a look at the film from another viewpoint, and particularly the viewpoint of the person responsible in the main for a lot of what comes up there on the screen. This is Alan J. Pakula, the director, who's been around for quite some time.
This summer, local theaters are offering a lot of sequels, shoot-'em-ups, thrillers, animations, and thankfully, at least one film for grown-ups. The film is Presumed Innocent, an adaptation of Scott Turo's best-selling novel starring Harrison Ford, Brian Dennehy. The film was directed by the man who gave us Clue, All the President's Men, and Sophie's Choice, among others, Alan J. Pakula. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I say congratulations?
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Or is that premature?
Well, we open tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the omens and the auguries are good, but I'll believe it when it happens. You know?
What is it about taking a novel and making it a film that so attracts you? This isn't the first time you've done it. I just mentioned a few others.
Well, there's the attractive and the unattractive. The attractive is you have a proven story. In the case of Scott Turo, for example, you just have one of the best storytellers in America today, and he gives you a roller coaster ride in that plot. He's a brilliant plotter, an underestimated talent, I might add. It's one of the hardest things to do, and it's plot that comes out of character, so that while he gives you all this excitement and suspense, you don't say, oh, it was just a trick, because the more you know those characters, the more it's revealed. And
you don't worry that people who've read the book will compare the movie?
Oh, sure I do. For example, I mean, they sold 4 million copies of that book. Probably 16 to 20 million people read that book, and they're all picture makers. Each one has his very specific idea of who that character is and what that scene was like and where it took place. And now I come along and say, okay, forget about your pictures, here are my pictures.
We have Diddley.
So?
So Dan LaPranza and Rusty Savage will work night and day for the next 2 weeks and catch Raymond a killer. At least that's the strategy.
You're in charge of this investigation?
Raymond insisted I take it on.
There are 150 lawyers down there. They couldn't find one who didn't sleep with her in charge. Did you tell Raymond? This is a conflict of interest. Is that professional?
Barbara, I'm Raymond's chief deputy.
You are so predictable. It's your way of reliving the whole thing. She's dead, and you're still obsessing.
It's a terrible question to ask somebody when you're running short on time, but why doesn't Hollywood make more serious adult dramas?
Oh, I can't speak for Hollywood. It's tough enough speaking for myself. I think every time an adult drama does well, more adult dramas will be made. I think Hollywood, we all know, goes in cycles. One executive said to me recently, listen, I think all you guys have had enough fun with your great big giant toys, and I think audiences may want to see you all get back to doing pictures about people. Well, Presumed Innocent is about people, and about people in some ways who could be us in strange and bizarre circumstances, finding themselves seduced by forces over which they seem to have no control. A man who prided himself in controlling himself finds himself out of control sexually. The repercussions of this, an ordinary man like you or me finding himself accused of murder, tried for murder, with a strong possibility, even probability that he did it. That kind of roller coaster of an adventure can be adult drama if the characters are alive and real and dimensional. And it also can please on the most childlike level as well as the adult level, because it gives you the thrills of suspense. Is he guilty? Is he not guilty? Will he get off? Won't he get off? What's going to happen? Who did it? And yet at the same time you're exploring human characters. You're exploring the justice system. The best films for me, the kind I like to make, work on an adult level, they work on an adolescent level, and they satisfy the child within you as well.
So it's not just a whodunit, it's also a why-done-it.
Yeah, exactly.
Alan J. Pakula. Congratulations.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
Scott Turo's book, Presumed Innocent, is 2 or 3 years old, but it's now out in, I think it's a Penguin paperback, but it's certainly a good read. Another person in the film who has an excellent and important role is actor Paul Winfield. Now, he'd read the book and enjoyed the book and liked the role that he eventually played in the film long before there was even talk of making a film.
Yeah, a friend of mine foisted the book on me. He said, "You've got to read this book." And I said, "Wait a minute, I don't read fiction these days. I'm just interested in biographies, non-fiction. I mean, people's lives and things like that. Something someone's concocted in their head." But like everybody else, I got hooked on page 5, and before I could put it down, I said, "This is going to make a wonderful movie."
You were sure it was going to be a movie?
I knew it was going to be a movie. And when I got to my part, I said, "They've even written a part for me." So I called my agent, and he said, I said, "Now pay attention, there's going to be a movie called Presumed Innocent. And we want to know when the screenplay is written, what studio gets it, and who's going to direct it." And we scanned it for 2 years. Finally, when the director was announced, Pakula, we went in, we talked, and waited another 6 months while they made up their minds. But I was scanning it even then. I said, "Well, so-and-so just got this, so he won't be available." So I was just always trying to see.
You didn't want the part of Sandy, you didn't want the part of Horgan, you didn't want any of the other parts. You wanted the judge.
I wanted the judge.
Why? What's so special about Lauren Little?
It's fail-proof. It is absolutely, he's a fascinating man. He comes in just at the right moment in the picture. He provides a little humanity, a little comic relief. It's something when the tension is just like this, it gives the audience a chance to sort of vent all that stuff in, get a few laughs, relax, refocus, and start the tension again.
Your Honor, we noticed that Mr. Malto is listed both as a prosecutor and as a potential witness for the prosecution. We object to that.
Now, I take it you're speaking of where Mr. Savage responds to Mr. Moto's accusations of murder by saying, "You're right."
Yeah, you're right.
Your Honor, the man admitted the crime. Oh, come on, Mr. D. LaGuardia, really? You tell a man he's engaged in wrongdoing, and he says, "Yeah, you're right." Now, everybody knows that's facetious. We're all familiar with that. Shoot, in my neighborhood, had Mr. Savage come from those parts, he would have said, "Your mama." But in Mr. Savage's part of town, I would think they would say, "Yeah, you're right." And what they mean is, "You are wrong," just to be polite.
Presumed Innocent is something I think a lot of people will want to see and will enjoy. That's all from me today. See you tomorrow, and don't forget our film is Imitation of Life.